So let's say you're a yoga teacher and you're at home by yourself trying to have a practice because you know that you need to take care of yourself. If you're going to get up in front of rooms full of people every day and tell them to take care of themselves, you have to do the same, right? So you're at home and you're having a practice by yourself, but all you're thinking about is teaching. You're essentially doing lesson planning instead of having your own practice. It's not that easy to take that teacher hat off and just have your practice, is it? I'm betting a lot of you listening to this are shaking your heads up and down right now. Just like all the people in my weekly teachers class this week when we were discussing this. We talked about different strategies for how we could create that space to give ourselves what we need and take that teacher's hat off every once in a while. So maybe you would like to be in the company of other teachers to talk about this kind of thing and more. If so, you're welcome to join us. It's the J. Brown Yoga Weekly Teachers Class. And if you've been thinking about it, let me give you one more reminder that the introductory rate is expiring at the end of this month. Starting November 1st, the price is going to go up just a little bit. It's still incredibly low priced. But if you want to lock in the introductory rate, you can do so indefinitely by subscribing by the end of this month. If you enjoy this podcast, I think you will really dig it. It's the J. Brown Yoga Weekly Teachers Class. You can find it at jbrownyoga.com. Hey there. Nice to be with you again. That is, of course, if you're returning. If you're new, welcome. This is J. Brown Yoga Talks podcast. My name is J. Brown. And I'm hoping that in the moment this is reaching you, things are feeling relatively stable and you are doing okay. I don't know about you, but my week took a turn of sorts. I started out on one track. I had some ideas in mind about how my week was going to go and what I was going to do. I wrote a whole blog post about the Yoga Alliance, getting ready to share today's episode with Karin Carlson with you. And I had this big plan to kind of put out this episode and the blog post this week, and I don't know, that was my kind of plan, but I finished that blog post at the beginning of the week, and when I was done with it, I kind of had a strange and unusual crisis, which was I just felt that it was totally worthless. I just thought, why am I talking about the Yoga Alliance right now? I'm just taking in all these things that were happening, and so much is going on so much more important levels. And I just thought, who gives a fuck about Yoga Alliance? I don't care about Yoga Alliance right now. And that's very rarely ever happened to me. I've been writing my blog for 10 years. I have a whole ritual kind of meditation each month process by which I come up with these blog posts that I write. And when I finish it, it always just is yeah, that's what I needed to write, and it's done, and it goes out. I think this is maybe twice. This is maybe the second time in 10 years where I've written something and finished it and then just felt like it was totally wrong and had to write something else. And that happened this week. I wrote a whole new blog post that's going out today, the same day this is going out. I have this new blog post going out. It's called Fear and Purpose Amidst a Narrative Collapse. And I know that's such a dark title in a certain way, but I don't know. It tickles my fancy to write those kind of titles, even if nobody else likes them. And the post was what I needed to write. I was had a really good cry, just kind of lost it, and then wrote something that felt more appropriate. I just needed to let myself feel it. I feel scared. I feel saddened. I feel disheartened. And in that moment, I felt helpless. But it didn't end there. Fortunately, I have some tools that I can rely on. And I did some very useful practice with myself, and I was able to make myself quiet inside. And I was able to bring myself in that quiet to a place of knowing. And in that place of knowing, I don't feel helpless at all. I feel the help of the universe. I feel the support of the forces that bring me here and make all this occur. I don't I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I felt the warmth and the care of life as me, as the wonder and the awe of it. I got to believe that if we're going to be able to make any kind of change in any kind of positive direction, it's going to have to come from a place of awe and wonder in ourselves. It can't be fear. It can't be fear. I'm not giving in to that. No siree. Now that post I wrote about the Yoga Alliance, it's a good post. I'll probably put it out next month because believe me, there's some shit going on with the Yoga Alliance and we should probably pay attention to it. But I'm glad that I was able to catch myself and not just be in an autopilot mode and be sensitive to what I was feeling and what I needed. And after listening back to today's episode, it was actually the best choice because today's talk with Karin is really not just about the Yoga Alliance. In fact, it goes to much more important stories that need to be told. And what I ended up writing is more in line with what we talked about. And Karin is somebody who I think really grasps the nuance in a way that feels true to me. And she's somebody who has purpose that she's operating from as well. And I really enjoyed and appreciated and took inspiration from this conversation with her. I'm very glad that you're going to get to hear it today. Before we do, let me mention that today's episode is sponsored by yoganatomy.net. I've talked about yoganatomy.net a lot. It's the educational resource of Leslie Kaminoff and Amy Matthews. These are friends of mine and teachers of mine. They've been on the podcast.